Hello, I'm Frances from Homestead, and we're transplanting the peppers. We're also going to be harvesting the garlic. This grow bed is where I'm going to be putting my peppers, the jalapenos and bell peppers, and maybe some Thai chili eventually. They're still very small. They're not doing very well. I don't know. I tried to do them very differently this year than last year, making sure they had plenty of water and in the grow room and whatnot, and they're still just staying real tiny. So I just don't know that they're going to be producing for me this year either. But anyway, the garlic, the tops are starting to brown and a few of them have been falling over. So we're going to be harvesting the garlic, and then I'll have this grow bed for the peppers. This is a rather small one, but you can see it's already dried and papered on the outside edge. Let's see how one of the large ones are doing. Oh yeah, that's a nice looking clove. It's not huge, but definitely usable. We'll be setting these out to cure so that they can store well. And we've got quite a few, so it's okay if they're a little bit small. Okay, so we've brought the garlic into the shop and placed it on this old screen door on sawhorses. They're single layer and spaced out so that they can cure and store well. They're looking really good. The stalks are drying out and we're getting a papery coating. We need to have them out here for a few weeks before we can put them away and store them. Okay, the garlic is out. I put in a drip for the garlic. I have 5 rows here. I'm not going to have 5 rows of peppers. They're going to be spaced out probably in 2 rows or so. So I'm going to have to amend this drip a little bit. But now it's time to get the jalapenos and bell peppers put in the ground. So this is my spacing, and it looks like I got 3 rows. So I'll be taking out 2 rows and plugging them off. But I did, surprisingly, end up with 1 Thai chili that grew more than a couple inches. So I'm pretty excited to at least have 1. And I'll set it on the end here. So let's get planting. So for the peppers, I'm going to add a little bone meal and blood meal. Probably about a few teaspoons. Mix it in a little bit. I found one. Oh yeah, and I have 3 marigolds growing here. I planted a whole row back here on either end, but it looks like only 3 seem to take off. I tried to get some in all the beds, but they just didn't always come up. With the drip, there's not water right on the edges, so it wasn't very conducive for their growth. Okay, they are looking lovely. I did end up with 3 total Thai chilies. These 2 here are still rather small, but they don't look as tiny as last year when I transplanted. So I'm hoping that they're going to succeed. And this one, of course, looks great. I also added some marigold seeds where there was some emitters that I didn't have any plants next to, and they are coming in lovely. As a side note, I have the cherry tomatoes staked out and tied up. They are getting a lot of new growth. These are the 3 yellow cherry tomatoes here by the squash, which is doing wonderfully. And they look like they are doing well. And these are my dark red cherry tomatoes, also staked up and tied up, and they are looking really good too. Hopefully they'll be a nice cooling shade for the carrots And maybe the carrots are going to take off and do a little better. I still have not had much success with carrots. We'll see how that goes. The tomatillos that I planted here next to my grapes are really taking off. They've got lots of little blossoms and they are growing like weeds. My weeds grow very well here, but so are these tomatillos. I'm really loving it. Now these here are ground cherries that I have transplanted over by the salmon berries. These are seeds that were given to me with my Burgess order, and I have never grown ground cherries, but I thought I'd give them a try and see how they produce and if I even like them, their flavor and so on. But they seem to be thriving, so I'm anxious to see how they produce. Thank you for joining me on this journey. It is a constant learning experience, and I never know what's going to happen next. I'm so grateful for you. Until we meet again.